Erev Tov, everyone. This Shabbat, as we all know, is Shabbat Nachamu. The Shabbat that succeeds Tisha B'Av. And it's Shabbos Nachamu based on the Haftorah of the Novi Yeshayahu, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. Shabbat Nachamu also has a relationship every year because of the way it falls. This year it falls with Tu B'Shvat. I'm sorry, with Tu B'Av. I'm way ahead of myself. I had some cherries today, that did it. So, Tu B'Av, Chamisha Asar B'Av always falls also in connection with Shabbat Nachamu because it's 6 days this year, 5 days after Tisha B'Av. So Tu B'Av will be Friday and Shabbos will be Shabbos Nachamu. Is there any other relationship between the two, or is just the coincidence of the calendar? Well, you know that Chazal never saw coincidences when it came to Jewish life. When it came to Jewish traditions, and to the calendar, and even to names, that's Hakol Mesudar. Everything somehow goes together. So what has Nachamu got to do with Tu B'Av? In our time, Tu B'Av has been converted to a commercial venture by the jewelry stores. But it's interesting, in Israel, everybody knows Chamisha Asar B'Av, right? In America, they don't know what you're talking about. So the Gemara says, Lo hayu yomin tovim liYisrael ki Chamisha Asar B'Av v'Yom HaKippurim. The two happiest days, that's what Yom Tovim means here. So when we think of happy days, we think of Purim and Simchas Torah. But Chazal say the happy days are Yom HaKippurim and Tu B'Av. Because on those days, the Jewish family was built. The idea of having marriage, building for the future always. So those were the great days. So the Mefarshim all deal with this question. Mele Yom Kippur, I understand. Yom Mechila, Slicha, V'Kapora. They that, so to speak, we wash away our imperfections and are able to start again afresh with heaven having forgiven us. But what's the deal with Chamisha Asar B'Av? Why should it be equal? In fact, in the Lashon of the Gemara, it precedes Yom HaKippurim. And based on the calendar, Yom Kippur should come first because it occurs earlier in the year. So Chazal say, Shlomo HaMelech says in Shir HaShirim, to go out and see the king, Ba'atorah she'itra lo imo, the crown that his mother prepared for him, v'yom chasunoso, v'yom simchas libo, for the day of his wedding, the day of the joy of his heart. So the Gemara darshans Yom Chasunoso, that's Matan Torah, because then we in the Ribono Shel Olam, so to speak, Kaviyachol married each other, made the bond between each other. And Yom Simchas Libo, Chazal say that's Tu B'Av. Chamish Asar B'Av. So again, why is that Yom Simchas Libo? So the Meforshim explain, it's a really remarkable idea, I think. There were two major sins that the Jewish people committed that really led to the Churban, that led to the death of the generation of the Dor HaMidbar, and a sin that is almost impossible to eradicate. So one of the sins is the Maseo Ego, that they made the bride under the chuppah was Mazana. And the second sin was the Meraglim, that they didn't go to Eretz Yisrael. So the sin of the ego was modified and forgiven, at least partially, when Moshe came down from Sinai with the Luchos Shnios. So Moshe went up right after Shavuos. He came down Shivos B'Tammuz. There, the ego was built. He broke the Luchos. Another 40 days to pray, and then Chedesh Elul, he went up again, and Yom Kippur is 40 days later, and he came down with the Luchos Shnios. So on Yom Kippur, by bringing down the Luchos Shnios, the second set of the Luchos, so that was the symbol that the Lord had forgiven the Jewish people. That even though the Maisa Ego would always be collected, so to speak, in all of the troubles that the Jewish people encountered over their generations. But the main sin no longer, it didn't break up the marriage. You have sometimes that a couple has a very severe rupture. Something bad happens. But somehow they're able to put it together and to put it behind them and to be able to continue. And many times, if not most times, they're able to live together harmoniously and productively. So the Luchos Shnios represented that. The Luchos Shnios was on Yom Kippur. So that's B'Yom Chasunoso, on the day of the marriage, again, so to speak, of Klal Yisrael and the Ribono Shel Olam, that he gave us the Luchos Shnios. So that's why Lo Hoyu Yomim Tovim Li Yisrael like Yom Kippur. Because Yom Kippur is the renewal of the vows, so to speak. There used to be a custom in America that I don't think it's there anymore. But people who were fortunate enough to celebrate their golden wedding anniversary, 50 years, so they had a ceremony called Renewal of the Vows. Well, when you're 75, it's easier to deal with it than when you're 25. But there was such a thing that became symbolic of the fact that the marriage lasted and would last. So that was the idea of the Luchas Shniyos and of Yom Kippurim. So Yom Kippurim was a yontif. And it remains a yontif till today. It's a yontif that has inuyim with it. It has restrictions, but it's a yontif. However, Tu B'Av, so Chazal say, Rashi brings it in this week's parsha, that every year of the 40 years, 15,000 something Jews died in the Midbar, right? So that 600,000 of the Midbar would die before they come at their Eretz Yisrael. So Chazal say a wondrous idea that every one of those people dug their own grave, literally, and they went to sleep on the night of Tisha B'Av in the grave. Those that got up, got up. Those that didn't get up, didn't get up. The last Tisha B'Av, the last Chamisha B'Av, rather, everybody got up. The Rebbeinu Shalom didn't collect the last 15,000. Everybody survived. So that was a sign of kapora for the Meraglim. And even though they sinned and they said they don't want to go to Eretz Yisrael, they survived and they're going to go to Eretz Yisrael. So that's B'Yom Simchas Libo. On the day of his happiness, Chamisha B'Av, they were forgiven for the sin of the Meraglim. So that's why Chazal say the combination between Yom Kippurim and Chamisha B'Av is because those are the two days of forgiveness. But that the Rebbeinu Shalom forgave Klal Yisrael. Yom Kippur, he forgave them for the ego, and Tu B'Av, he forgave them for the sin of the Meraglim. So then, if we understand that, so then we can understand the connection to Shabbos Nachamu as well. That even though we heard all the words that the Navi Yeshayahu said last Shabbos, and the words are like knives in our skin, Ami lo yoda, Yisrael lo izbonon, Am kever avon, zera mashlisim, holi bereim. The Rebbeinu Shalom forgave us. Nachamu, nachamu, ami yomer elokeich. And I think that helps to understand a lot of what goes on in Jewish history and a lot what goes on today as well. Rebbeinu Shalom collects what he has to collect. Kol Omer, that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is a vatron, that he never collects. So that's wrong. But Rebbeinu Shalom is Soleach U'Mochel. Rabbi Shalom is merciful. He erases sins. We say that Am Yom Kippur, Moche, Ashmoseinu, V'chol Shona V'Shona. He erases the book. And that is the greatest nechama. The greatest comfort is that somehow our imperfections in the long run do not impair our relationship, our marriage, so to speak. And so that's the connection, one of the connections between Chamisha B'Av and between Shabbos Nachamu, Abu Aleinu L'Tova. Rabbi Hananya ben Kakashi Omer Otzakari Baruch Hu Zakas. Es Israel Leficho Kibelahem Torah Mitzvot Shenem Adonai Chafetz Aman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.